I am so pleased to be here today with Donna Fitzgerald. Hi, Donna.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really well, and it feels good to be spending some time with you talking about your journey of authentic leadership. You know, it's one of the things that I find really intriguing is that over the decade plus years that I've been able to witness how the coaches and facilitators who have come through the training in authentic leadership have personalized and used the materials in so many different ways. So, you know, some of us work in the corporate community. I've also repurposed it for conversations with parents. And your particular journey was repurposing the materials to work with caregivers.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And so last year, you partnered with Tana Hemmensley, who is the founder of Authentic Leadership Global, and put out your first book.
That's correct. Yep.
And now the second one has come out.
And my journal.
The
Yes.
journal, yes. So I personally have benefited from this repurposing of the materials for caregivers. And I really appreciated when I was in a caregiving role with my husband, Andrew, in the last year of his life, how these materials just, you know, they helped me take materials that I already knew. I'm training people on these materials and I'm using them in so many different ways, but the way you took this and brought it to through that lens of caregiving spoke to me so much in my caregiving role. And I'd like to hear a little bit from you about your journey in realizing that these materials could be used in this way and how it's helped you, first of all.
Okay. Well, I did the original worksheets probably 10 years ago when my husband passed away 17 years ago. So I was on the path to healing through grief and trauma and finding myself because I was in caregiver burnout. So I had totally lost myself. I knew I was a wife, mother, I worked all the positions in life, but I had lost Donna. So these worksheets came at a time when I was just really curious and wanting to know, who am I? Like, where do I go from here? What do I do now? And so when I discovered these worksheets through Tana, I was amazed at how I discovered so many things about going back right to childhood and knowing about, the thoughts and patterns that I had been carrying with me through childhood to adulthood, and then being able to be in my 40s, mid 40s, and really discovering and having the ability to take apart those thoughts that didn't even resonate with me anymore, but I had carried them with me. And so it's been a life changer. And these worksheets, it's not like I've done them once. I continue to this day. I go back to them when I'm feeling like I'm kind of stuck and I need to, really sit back and reevaluate how life is going, because, life is never even keel. It's up and down, and we all have our challenges. And mine, especially for me, when my husband passed, my youngest daughter was 11 and my son was 18, and she had a really difficult time because she really didn't know her dad well. He was 5 when he was diagnosed with ALS. And so her journey was much different from my son because he had 12 years with his dad. So they really helped me through her pushing all the boundaries because she was trying to find herself. And, she has post-traumatic stress and depression and things. So these worksheets are great. And like up to recently, I was doing some videos. I've done 8 videos for the to go with each chapter recently. And I was doing each video and explaining what each chapter was about. And then within just doing that on my own, I realized, oh, I think there's some areas in my life that I need to revisit and get more balance. And so that's the amazing thing about these worksheets. They're a lifelong tool. It's not like you just use them once, because as we mature and as we evolve and we, get into new areas of life, like I'm into retirement now, so I'm not in the workforce anymore. So then that I'm experiencing new experiences and adventures and meeting different people than I had in my life before, learning to let go of the past so you can move forward. So yeah, I think ALG to me is, I think of it as allowing love and growth. And so I decided when you asked how the workbook came about. I was out for a 50-kilometer ride one day, and when you're out by yourself just cycling, your mind is just free. And Tana was collaborating with Diana Ryers with her workbook for writing a memoir. And I was kind of helping Diana out with the worksheets. We were going through them. And as I'm writing, I thought, maybe I could do that for caregivers. And I wanted it to be simplified because caregivers don't have a lot of energy, as you know. So the capacity to give them too much, I'd lose them in no time at all. So my goal, or what I had thought, was my foundational practices for the last 17 years through grief, trauma, and rebuilding my life has been emotional feeling board, like a vision board, journaling, and these worksheets. So I thought if I could coordinate all of them into one book, then it's going to support a caregiver from the beginning through to losing their loved one and beyond, establishing a new life. So if they're really stressed and don't have a lot of time, then just the fact that they do daily journaling and just give themselves a voice so they can write out their emotions and feelings, and that's good. Like there's no right or wrong in this workbook. You don't have to do it at any specific time. And then, if their loved one went to long-term care and then you had a little more time to spend on yourself and creating these foundational practices to help you move forward, then they can take the worksheet and work on them. And then with the videos that I have produced to go through, just introducing it, I hope that gives them enough, if they're going to do it in their home by themselves, enough direction, or if they're doing it in a support group, it could be facilitated. And the other aspect of it is the conversations with my soul. And that's my free flow writing, which I've put into the book because I felt it was important for me to be vulnerable and to share how I felt throughout my experience. And I went back in my writing and pulled out a free flow writing for each chapter. But within the making of the book as well, I tried to put in personal experiences within each chapter and how I felt, like with my values, how I felt with boundaries, my inner purpose feeling. So it's a very personal book to me, in the sense that I've shared very personal writings, but I'm proud and hopeful that within putting those personal stories in there, I'll connect with people in a way that they'll say, yeah, I felt like that too, or I'm feeling like that. And seeing that I've come through and it was a dream to write a book for me. But originally I thought I would be writing the ALS story of my husband. And every time I tried to do that, it kind of just fell flat. And it was just a repetition of activities and what happened. And then when I started writing this, it just flowed. It felt right because it comes from my heart. And that's, if I can share from my heart to someone else's heart and help them move through caregiving. And I mean, we're all caregivers of our own lives, really. So in different aspects. So it's just a gift that I felt was important in 2021 and 2022 to put out.
Particularly at this time too.
That
yeah,
its time was now. And, you know, if somebody has at least this tool to start their journey of healing, and then if they can get to counseling, or if they need more,
layer in other things.
They can take it with them and say, I've started this is where I am, this is where I'm stuck. And at least they have a starting point. And so that's about it.
You know, what I appreciated the most about the conversations we had as you were bringing this book out, and then when I started to use it and we had some conversations around that, is first of all your vulnerability. And that's come through in this conversation too, just how you bring your whole self, your experience, your whole self, and your big, beautiful, caring heart. There's so much compassion there because you've been through this and you've known others who have been through this. And so you have this compassion and empathy, and it comes through in the book. It comes through, of course, in speaking with you. It's interesting that you talked about your daughter and boundaries, because I was flipping through the book when I was just before we came into this conversation, and I was thinking back to what was it that really, really helped me. And I know that it was the conversation 7 around setting boundaries, where I had so many ahas as I was going through this, and particularly on page 74 of the book about over-functioning and anger, and how the inner critic for me was starting to come out. I could see how I was lashing out in areas where I would normally not lash out. I was so much more reactive than I usually am. It's not my character usually to in my character to be very reactive. And so this helped me really understand where I need to ask for help. And
Right.
you know, and so it was so incredibly helpful. And I am hoping that so many people who are in that caregiving role, and I know I'm still on some groups through social media that gradually I'm stepping back from, because I'm not in an active caregiving role now. But I know in speaking to those who are in active caregiving that I'm hearing the sense of overwhelm. I mean, we're still in this time where getting outside help into a home is difficult, or if we put a loved one into care, we may not have the kind of access to them that we would be accustomed to. There's all these other layers of challenges during this time in the pandemic. So these books are incredible tools for people who are in caregiving role. How can people who are interested get the books?
Well, they can get them on Amazon, or I have my own website called donnafitzgerald.ca. And on the website, I have the workbook, the journal, and a free download for the 8 videos. So when you buy the workbook, you'll have access to the 8 videos that I produced in my kitchen. and then my email is creativehealing2019@outlook.com.
And I will post that in the comments underneath the video when we're posting this.
But
Donna,
if anyone has bought the book on Amazon, all they have to do is email me and I'll just send them the link for the videos.
Excellent.
Because it wouldn't be attached with the Amazon book. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with me today. And I'm looking forward to hearing where this book is going and who it's helping, and looking forward to having more conversations with you.
Thank you for having me. It was great. Bye.